winter weather mess is right. Good evening and thanks for joining us. We are in the middle of a weather alert day. Fox 13 meteorologists declaring the alert once again today.
And the move comes amid weather-related shutdowns of mountain pass roadways. Cars stuck in mile-long backups, and it's not clearing anytime soon. On the west side of the state, there are flood watches in place for many rivers as another winter storm arrives before having time to recover from the previous one.
We have live team coverage across western Washington tonight as we monitor the latest weather affecting you in your area.
We begin tonight with Fox 13's Hannah Kim. She's live in Mason County, where voluntary evacuations have been issued as rain continues to push river levels higher and higher. Hannah, what's the status?
Well, Jamie and David, the Skokomish River was supposed to crest at 3 p.m. Now that's been pushed back to 1 a.m. But you already see the impacts. I'm going to move out of the way and show you what you see behind me here is water over the roadway. And what you are looking at right now is the Skokomish River. You see right here a car trying to go past it. As we were saying, there has been voluntary evacuations in place. It was sent out earlier today. People told, hey, look, the river is rising. You should evacuate. But the reality is, you guys, we've talked to a lot of people who live in this valley. It is not a surprise. It floods here every year. So they're telling me that most people here do not evacuate. They will choose to shelter in place. It doesn't mean, though, that they're not on high alert, because once the river crests and it floods, you're going to see roadways get flooded, but also water reaching yards and portions of people's property. If there is any silver lining here in the Skokomish Valley area, many of these homes are on higher elevation, so most homes won't be flooded. But again, take a listen to what people had to say around here.
The thing that is scary is the current. The current gets really deep. I mean, really swift. And then it's just running through the backyard, you know, and you're like, yikes.
I was looking online and I saw that the back roads were closed. There wasn't going to be any way to get home after 3 o'clock, so I left work and I'm on my way home.
So as you just heard, various roads are shut down, so it's going to be a headache for people coming in and out of the Skokomish Valley area here. And we've seen public works crews with their signs ready to close down all of these streets. We've seen a lot of roads closed already. So, you know, one of the messages for people, if you can stay off the roadways, please do so. Coming up in about half an hour or so, I also did speak with the fire chief who services this area. He had a very important message for drivers, and not just drivers who live around here, but people from outside this area. More on that coming up later. Guys, back to you.
All right, Hannah Kim there live for us tonight in Mason County. Hannah, thank you.
Now let's head out to Fox 13 News reporter Frankie Thompson live in North Bend as people try to wait out the pass closure. Frankie, Snoqualmie Pass, will it be open again? When will it be open again? How many days do you think it'll be closed?
Well, David, we know it's closed today, closed tomorrow, possibly even closed on Saturday. People who use I-90 are going up against large snowbanks, avalanche danger, and fallen trees. WashDOT says it is just too risky for anyone to travel in those conditions through Snoqualmie Pass. That's why we see several dozens of semi-trucks just parked here trying to wait it out so that they can get to their destination once the pass reopens. Now here in North Bend, Washington State Patrol is blocking all eastbound lanes at exit 34. So many trucks are lined up along the interstate hauling a full load. Some of those trucks we see include Walmart, Costco, and Safeway, all hauling goods or out for a pickup. We spoke to a couple truck drivers who say they would rather be safe than out in those dangerous conditions, but tell us closing the pass these next couple of days will hurt an already low supply chain.
It's not just me, it's everybody sitting on the off-ramp over there.
If I'm not there on time, you're going to see an empty shelf for either a day or two, you know, sometimes a week. And it's terrible. Most of the loads that are coming through, you know, people are expecting, you know, resupply of what's going on. And yeah, it's just terrible. To be a driver and not be able to pull through and say, hey, I could show up on time and get this done for you, it's really nerve-wracking. It's really sad, too.
Roads are closed on the west side of the pass in Ellensburg at milepost 106. WashDOT says after the upcoming snowfall, crews will start plowing the roads and clearing any fallen trees. Patrols will also assess any avalanche risk and possibly do some avalanche control. Anyone who was planning to travel through the pass will clearly have to reroute their plans. WashDOT says they are going to continue monitoring the weather, but at this time, the pass again is closed today, closed tomorrow, and possibly closed on Saturday. So folks, again, will have to coordinate their travels. We'll send it back to you in the studio live in North Bend. Frankie Thompson, Fox 13 News.
Yeah, it started really bad, and then it's getting really icy out here. It's getting really cold, so either you chain up, you pay up.
Well, that's from Stevens Pass. It also remains closed this hour. That truck driver that we just heard from was trying to deliver packages from Kent to Pasco, but ended up going back to Kent. Crews are busy today trying to clear parts of US 2, but it's the side of the road that's really creating some dangerous situations for some people earlier today. WashDOT says there's currently no detour available and no estimated time for reopening. We also checked to see how long it would take to get around all of this mess. From Seattle to Spokane, current travel time would be a little more than 12 hours. If this is something that you're planning on doing, our Adam Gerke put together the routes that you should take, and we'll have that coming up in the next half hour.
We'll take a look at this video out of Mukilteo, where flooding is also a concern tonight. Fox 13's Matthew Smith took this video of the rising waters in a local parking lot.
And on the coast, we could see some historic flooding. This is from a viewer in Cosmopolis, and the water's just flooding the streets around their home, leaving them stranded pretty much. Another Grays Harbor viewer sent in this picture as well. The main streets in Aberdeen also flooding back over after the recent king tides caused some real issues.
So let's talk about this weather alert day. Erin Mayovsky's here, and what's the very latest as we go through the evening?
Yeah, not surprising seeing this big round of moisture pushing on in. Why we're going to deal with some lowland flooding. Pretty typical of Mason County and the Skokomish River, but there'll be other minor flooding down in the Chehalis Valley. We'll be watching rivers from the southwest to the southeast because of these heavy showers moving through, and all the mountain snow that has fallen and the lowland snow, everything combining, pushing up, and then this weather maker pushing in. We're getting a good bullseye just north of Shelton, and we're going to really be watching the areas off of the Olympics for that flooding, especially the Skokomish River. We'll have more on that. Lisa Villegas will touch on that in just a few minutes with her flooding coverage. And as we look at the areas now that we're covering, seeing the heaviest showers out near the coast and up in the North Sound into the foothills of the Cascades and Snohomish and Skagit valleys. We're getting a good bullseye too right around the US 2, Highway 2, Stevens Pass, Skokomish. As you push further east, it starts to pick up as snow falling there as well. And our temperatures, this is the interesting story. Look to the north, folks. We're seeing 29 degrees in western Whatcom County. Bellingham has not had any breaks at all, the whole area, and Skagit as well, but we're still holding on to that Arctic air blast and that cool air outflow from Fraser River. And as that hangs on, we're seeing those temperatures at 29 degrees. Hence, we're getting a little line here of that mixture of that rain-snow mix. But once we get down into the metro area into Puget Sound, 51 degrees. Mountain passes all closed right now, as we've been talking about for the last day or so. We're dealing with that probably through Saturday. Temperatures warming up, and that is the good news. We'll see some gusty winds up there, avalanche control in place. You're just not going to get around it. We'll keep you up to speed on that. Of course, we have a look at your 3-day forecast and extended 7-day in just a few minutes.
Right now, Issaquah is in a flood warning due to a rapidly melting snow and heavy rainfall. To combat the flooding, community members taking today to fill sandbags for others. Issaquah resident Cyrus Crone telling us he's seen bad floods in the area, wants to help keep his neighbors and local storefronts dry.
The floods have been getting worse and worse, and we've got so much snow in the mountains right now that this one's likely to be pretty bad.
The city of Issaquah supplies the dirt, puts out a call to action asking people to help fill the bags and then distribute them.
And with all the rain that we're getting, the risk for landslides will increase over the next few days. Just take a look at this. This is from a viewer in Belfair. The slide happening today because of all the rain saturating our grounds. And with more on the way, we could see a lot more incidents just like this one. We also have a current look at the landslide risk in our area, and the places in yellow are under a landslide advisory. You can see most of western Washington falling under that area. This map showing the potential with precipitation predictions over the next 24 to 48 hours. All right, let's send things over to Lisa Villegas to find out what's on tap. Lisa, what are you tracking?
Well, we have this warm front right now, and it's sitting right on top of us, and that's what's triggering all of this rain and causing, quite frankly, just havoc all over the area. So this is where we're sitting right now. Want to start off with the flood warnings that are in place, especially across parts of the central South Sound. Everything highlighted in green. Those are our area of rivers that are under this flood warning until further notice. These are going to peak later on tonight through tomorrow morning because of all the rain that we've seen on top of the snow melt. So everything highlighted here across the counties, from Clallam County all the way down into Lewis County, flood watch remains in effect through Saturday. So keep this in mind. The ponding and the flooding that you're seeing is going to be ongoing. So fast forwarding later on tonight, right around 8 o'clock, we're going to continue with these conditions right around dinner time, especially along the coast. And speaking of that, Pacific County, high wind warning for you. Gusts potentially up to 60 miles an hour. The rest of us, yeah, it's going to be breezy out there. Gusts exceeding around 30 miles an hour. So get ready for that as that warm front pushes through. By tomorrow morning, we're now going to get ready for a cold front. With it, more widespread rain. So that's why this flood threat will continue through the beginning of the weekend. On top of that, we are going to see more of that mountain snow that will continue to increase. And when it comes to rain totals, fast forwarding here through Friday evening, we could see an additional ½ inch, possibly even about an inch or two, depending on where you are. Of course, Aaron's going to break down your complete forecast coming up. I'm going to send things back to you in the studio.
New details tonight in the deadly hit and run in Des Moines. Police have now located the vehicle and the driver involved. We'll have the very latest on the investigation.
Plus, a new warning from the Washington State Hospital Association, whose state officials may be calling on again to help mitigate surging hospital numbers. That's next.